Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me once again. Now, as always, there's 3 things you can do to help our channel and community grow. That is like, share, and please subscribe. Now, you can also make a donation at paypal.me/MorlogMorningDigest. We're going to jump right back into the coronavirus update. Yesterday, I tried posting a video and it got sent right to the black hole of YouTube, so I'm hoping that that doesn't happen today. I want to make one thing abundantly clear after the previous video that I posted about the coronavirus update. That this is real, people are dying, and that is a fact that there is no way around. You can sit here and disagree about the numbers coming out of China. You can sit here and debate how this thing started. It's all irrelevant. It is killing people. There is human-to-human transmission in several countries right now. The incubation period is absolutely insane compared to any virus that we have ever seen. It's approaching the levels of Spanish flu's kill rate, if not already exceeding it because of the numbers and the false reporting that we have. Now, what I want to make very, very, very clear. What I'm telling you here is not 100% solidified, and I don't think any information you're going to get about this is. We have to realize that this is 100% underreported. The numbers that they're giving us are based off of models and not actual tangible evidence. So, with that being said, I want to start our discussion by talking about this whistleblowing doctor in China who just passed away. The guy is a hero. He went against the entire Communist Party and decided to tell everybody that this virus was coming. And what did the Chinese government do? They arrested him and made him sign a piece of paper that said he was guilty of spreading rumors. Now, after he reported this and said that this virus was going to kill people, and he said that it was SARS-like, and he was shut up by the government went and held a potluck dinner in that same area with 100,000 people who were eating off of the same plates. And they knew that this virus was in that region. Do the math. Now, this doctor just passed away. And you're seeing everybody in China, the populace of China, rally behind him and call him the hero that he is. And if the information he gave the Chinese government would have been acted upon, we wouldn't be seeing what we're seeing here. With all of that said, this doctor is a very scary case study to look at. He was in perfect health, and he was 32 years old, and this thing took his life. So anybody who's out there saying that you have to be old or young or in bad health for this thing to kill you, I suggest you reevaluate that thinking because it's bullshit. We've already seen a 32-year-old in perfect health die a doctor that knows what this thing is capable of doing and knows the precautions to take. He succumbed to it. A 42-year-old in the Philippines in perfect health. He succumbed to it. We have a 20-year-old in Vietnam. He caught it from his father in less than 3 days, and he's in serious condition right now. This thing is spreading like a wildfire. You can accuse me of sensationalizing and fear-mongering. This is fact. It's happening. You can see it with your own 2 eyes. Prime example is this cruise ship off of Japan right now. There was a guy who was on this ship that left when the ship docked in Hong Kong. He got off the boat. He tested positive for it. Now this gentleman was swimming in the pool on this cruise ship. So once they found out that people on the cruise ship had contact with this guy, they wouldn't allow the people off of the ship to come into Japan. So the Japanese government did what they needed to, and they tested everybody on that boat that was showing symptoms. 10 people were immediately taken off of the boat and brought into quarantine right outside of Tokyo. The rest of the ship was locked in their rooms and put under quarantine for the next 14 days. Well, overnight, 31 more people just tested positive for this thing on that ship, which means the quarantine counter starts all over again for everybody who's literally locked in their rooms like it's a prison. They're stuck in their rooms. They can't come out. They have no information. no nothing. And guess what? Every time they discover a new case on this ship, that 14-day quarantine starts all over again. Now, what does that mean for anybody trapped on board? What that means is they are fucked. So my suggestion is, if you have any travel plans to the Asian area, if you have any plans of getting on a cruise ship, cancel your reservations. It's the last place you want to be. I would. It's literally a floating incubation chamber with a positive air system by design, which means the virus is going to stay put. And something else about this virus that most people aren't aware of is that they're saying it can live on surfaces up to 28 days. Unlike any virus we have ever seen before. Now, there are tons of instances like this when it comes to this virus and how it behaves, unlike any virus that we have ever seen. Another interesting development is we now know that a mother can give this disease to their babies through birth, which is absolutely terrifying. I want every single one of you to join me in praying for this infant that was just born who has the coronavirus, because if this is the case, that opens up a whole new can of worms for us to deal with. Now, what's interesting is, I told you about the guy in Vietnam who contracted this disease, right? He ended up giving it to his son. Well, okay, so this guy was in Singapore. He ended up getting the disease, goes to see his son in Vietnam, right? Develops conditions 5 days after getting on the plane and going to Vietnam. He develops a dry cough, which is a classic symptom of this virus by now. So, him, his wife, and his son share an air-conditioned room for 3 nights. His son starts displaying symptoms on the 3rd day, which means his son caught the disease as soon as he came in contact with it. These guys traveled all over Vietnam. By the time they ended up getting hospitalized, they traveled from the north of Vietnam all the way down to the southern point of Vietnam and to Ho Chi Minh, which is where they are being hospitalized at the moment. But we don't have any information on the wife. As of the day that this report was put out by the New England Journal of Medicine, the wife was still feeling 100% fine. Now, this means one of two things. This means the wife never caught the disease at all, or she's an asymptomatic carrier. Well, there's actually a third possibility. It hasn't incubated inside of her yet. However, I think the first two are more than likely, and that is terrifying. Now, if she managed not to catch the disease, that's actually very good, because it means it's not as transmissible as they think it is. However, that flies in the face of her son catching it within 3 days. But the really worrying part about this all is they traveled all the way through Vietnam, and this thing has an incubation period that can exceed 14 days. They came in contact with at least 28 people that Vietnam knows of. All those people so far are testing positive as far as we know. That's all the information I have on this one. Now, the Chinese government is 100% lying about what is going on as far as the death rate, and we know this for a fact because Hong Kong's ratio of infections versus deaths is nowhere near China's. So according to the Chinese number, we have 31,500 people who have contracted disease, right? 600 of those people have supposedly passed away. However, if you look at the ratio inside of Hong Kong, there's 24 reported cases and only 1 person has passed away, right? But the ratio is what should scare you and make you, not scare you is the wrong word. It should make you pay attention, because it shows that if we can trust Hong Kong's numbers, which I think we can, a lot more so than China's, it shows that China is not telling us the whole story. We would have to assume that the ratio would 100% be higher in China. A, the Hong Kong health system hasn't been taxed like it has in China. And B, there are now 3 epicenters in China. It's not just Wuhan. There's 2 other cities with 1,000+ confirmed cases and 100+ confirmed new cases per day. And it's not like people are recovering from this thing. They're not. We still have people that were sick from the first generation of this virus that are still sick. And another thing that's very interesting about this virus is pneumonia is the one thing that we've always tied this virus to, a symptom to this virus, right? But it's not like the pneumonia develops right away. It's actually interesting because in most instances, pneumonia develops pretty quickly if there's an infection. However, with this disease, it seems as though you go through a 6 or 7 day period where the virus weakens your body, destroys your immune system by making it fight other facets of the infection. And then, and only then, do you start having pulmonary edema, do you start having pneumonia, etc., etc. And this is concerning because there's no way that we are going to be able to supply thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people with 5 liters of oxygen per minute, which is exactly what they're having to do to the 42-year-old in Vietnam right now. So, the question you have to ask yourself now is, how far is this thing going to spread? Let's look at what the World Health Organization has said. They have already said that the chances of this thing becoming a global pandemic are more than 50-50. And with what we're seeing inside of China right now, they're not going to be able to contain it. I've said this 100 times. So, we're looking at a disease that has a kill rate that is quickly approaching that of the Spanish flu. And on top of that, the population on this planet is vastly superior in both population size as well as population density compared to the Spanish flu. So, if this thing has a 6% kill rate, which is what all models are suggesting, the numbers that we've pulled and calculated based on the information we're receiving puts it at 2.5. However, scientists and doctors that study epidemiology of these types of diseases say that the death rate is more likely 6%. And the real number of infections is probably up to 600,000. So let's do the math. 6% of 600,000. That's 6,000 deaths. Right? 6,000 deaths, and the people that are sick haven't recovered yet, which means that number is only going to get higher. Prepare yourselves. Food, water, masks. It's all you can do at this point. It's all you can do. I'm not fear-mongering. I want to make sure that you guys have the ability to protect your families. That's all we have at this point, and that's all we can do. It's out of our control. 100% out of our control. Civilization has made it through this before. Regardless of how it started, regardless of how it ended, just understand that civilization has made it through this. We are 100% capable of doing the same thing. But turning a blind eye to this and saying it's not real is not how to go about it at all. Because you're going to see what we're seeing in China if that's the case. You're going to see riots. You're going to see people killing each other because they're leaving their town and going to another one. Hysteria, by the end of this, will take just as many, if not more lives than the virus itself. That's all I have to say for you today. I hope you guys actually get this video. God bless you. Be prepared, and I'll talk to you shortly.